I'm Dimity Williams and I'm an author. My book is called Nature, Our Medicine: How the Natural World Sustains Us. And the premise of the book is that the natural world sustains our health and well-being, providing us with fresh air, clean water, healthy soils to grow our food, and rich, beautiful places to spend time in. And yet over the last 30 or 40 years, we've moved away from nature. We've moved inside to sit down, and this has not been good for us or our planet. So the solution is to reconnect with nature by getting out into nature and bringing nature into our lives. And this can help heal our planet and improve our personal well-being. So the book is divided into two parts. The first part explores the world and its biological diversity and richness and how the natural world sustains human health and well-being. So from the medicines that we use every day right through to spending time in nature. It also delves into big environmental issues, things like climate change and biodiversity loss, and how they in turn harm human health. The second part of the book is more specifically focused on health and how connecting with nature can provide solutions for many of the lifestyle-related health problems that we see today in our medical systems. Doctors for the Environment Australia is a national organisation of doctors and medical students. So we have doctors from all different fields of practice, so general practitioners, surgeons, anaesthetists, and we're all united around the central idea that we can't have healthy people without a healthy planet. So I've been involved with Doctors of the Environment for almost 15 years now, initially focusing on climate change and health, how climate change is in fact the greatest public health threat we're facing this century. More recently, over the last decade, I've focused more on biodiversity and how connecting with nature or spending time in nature supports human health. I was fortunate in that I had a childhood where I had many opportunities to be out playing in nature. My mother would take me outside from my infancy, walking in the pram and fill the pram with flowers. My primary school had bushland at the edge of it, which we would play in. So there was so much time and space to simply play outside in nature. So I think this foundation of a childhood rich in nature has meant that I've always felt at home in nature and always felt that it was important for health. And as I was travelling through my life and attending medical school, I noticed that health seemed to be separated off and it didn't seem right to me. It didn't really make sense. And so, of course, I've then found my way into environmental advocacy alongside my medical practice. So many years working as a general practitioner has given me the opportunity to see health within a wider frame. So looking after people for many months, years, even decades, and multiple members of the same family. So seeing how health sits within a broader context of their social environment and family life. And then also understanding environmental issues through my advocacy work with Doctors for the Environment Australia and understanding how climate change and other environmental problems have disrupted the life support systems that sustain our health. So attending with Doctors for the Environment many conferences and journal clubs and really delving into the research on this topic to write policy statements and meet with politicians to try and advocate for action on climate change because it is a health issue led me to this point where I had all of this information and I really wanted to share it with people. And I felt while it was present in dense scientific journals or policy documents, I wanted to put it into a language that people could understand, which is really why I wrote the book. Well, because the natural world sustains human health by providing these foundations for our health, if we protect our environment, we are in turn protecting human health. Conversely, if we destroy our natural environment by polluting the atmosphere and disrupting our climate, which generates severe weather events, which circle back around to definitely harm human health. I think most Australians have now encountered and lived through multiple severe weather events, and we would really understand how that affects our physical and emotional health. So if we look to restore our environment and address these environmental issues, then of course it's a preventative health action. There's so many, it's such a rich area, the area of First Nations knowledge. People who've inspired me have included Tyson Yunkaporta, whose incredible book Sand Talk is all about Indigenous knowledge systems. the National Museum of Australia's current series on First Knowledges is very interesting. I'm just about to read the plants one. They're all very interesting. I've loved Robin Wall Kimmerer's books. Braiding Sweetgrass is a particular favourite of mine. And Australian author Claire G. Coleman has got really opened my mind with her books. She's written both fiction and non-fiction. Her fiction book, Terra Nullius, just made me think quite differently about colonisation, and also her non-fiction book, Lies, Damn Lies, I think it's called, really helped shift my understanding of colonisation and what that has meant. I like to talk about people trying to get a green hour every day. So by that I mean spending at least 1 hour outside in nature, which can often seem like not very much time at all, but for a lot of people it's a bit of a challenge to get up to a whole hour outside every day. And I think that's as important for our health and well-being as eating our 5 serves of veggies every day or getting 8 hours sleep a night. Of course, it doesn't have to be a whole hour at a time. You could just do, half an hour at lunchtime and then, 10 minutes before you go to work in the morning and another half an hour or so when you get home. So just try to sprinkle nature throughout your day. And it's really important to have this time in nature, but how we spend time in nature is really important as well. So to make sure that when we're outside, we're meaningfully noticing nature and paying attention to it, rather than having our earbuds in and listening to a podcast, which is really not being present for what's around us. So, having the phone on silent and, just going for a walk or sitting out in the garden and really paying attention to all the life that's around you. And we know that spending time outside in nature in this way helps lower feelings of stress, lift mood, lower blood pressure, and even affect the hormones in the body like cortisol, which is a stress hormone. I would like Nature, Our Medicine, How the Natural World Sustains Us to help people understand the complex interplay between their health and nature, and to understand how it's really important for them to spend time in nature every day. And particularly for young children to have plenty of time to engage in what's called nature play, which is just simply playing outside in nature. So it's taken me quite a few years to write the book because, of course, I've been working as a doctor in general practice and also involved in environmental advocacy. I just became fairly disciplined about the process. So I would, on a Sunday night, sit down and diarise the hours in the week that I could spend writing and commit to doing that. And I also attended some writing workshops with Catherine Devaney, and I found that very motivating and inspiring. Bob Brown and I have crossed paths many times over the years in various different roles in environmental advocacy, but we probably had the most meaningful encounter when I went to the to try and raise awareness about the Tarkine, which is an area of northwestern Tasmania which is threatened by logging and mining. And so I went there with the Bob Brown Foundation to raise awareness. And as part of that journey, I spent some time with Bob and his partner at the property Bob used to live in called Liffey, which is really the home of many environmental movements. So it was very special to sit around the campfire at Liffey and chat about, the environmental problems that we're facing and what the solutions might be. So I was thrilled, of course, that Bob kindly agreed to write the foreword for the book. I've always loved reading. I think for me as a child, that was nature and reading were my things, I suppose, that I loved to do. I tend to alternate fiction and non-fiction because some of the non-fiction that I read can be, some of it's always very interesting, but some of it can be a bit challenging emotionally, I guess, if I'm reading about climate change, for example. Yeah, so I do like to alternate the two. As I said, I've recently been reading the First Knowledges series. So currently about to start the one on plants, which I'm really looking forward to reading. I'm also looking forward to reading Kerry Arabina's book called Indigenous to the Universe, which I think will be fascinating. And from a fiction point of view, I love reading fiction, all different sorts of fiction. I've recently enjoyed Anita Heiss's book, River of Dreams. I'm sorry, I can't pronounce the title in language because I've never heard it spoken. I've only read it, but I enjoyed that. And also Chai Time at Cinnamon Gardens. The author's a Australian woman with Sri Lankan heritage, which I really enjoyed that book as well. Speaking about the book, so I'm really excited to be speaking in various forums about the book. So speaking to people about nature play and the importance of nature play for children, also speaking about the importance of nature in our cities. I'm going to New South Wales shortly to speak at the launch of it's called the Ewan Healing Trail, which is going to be promoting all the Aboriginal endeavours in the area, promoting connection to country and the therapeutic value of such process. So really meeting interesting people and really enjoying sharing the messages of the book. Thank you so much for having me.